The online education world is filled with scams, and you cannot spit outside your window without hitting some guru promising to teach you how to get rich. And yet there's also like no shortage of people talking about how they became successful through online education. So what's going on? Is it that everything's a scam? Are people really making money with online businesses? As somebody that's on the inside, I want to pull back the curtain for you behind the industry of selling online money-making programs. Flashback to 2016. I'm a mortgage loan officer in a bank looking online for ways to get more clients and make more money. And while scrolling through YouTube, I get hit with the famous ad.
Here in my garage, just bought this new Lamborghini here. It's fun to drive up here in the Hollywood Hills. But you know what I like a lot more than materialistic things? Knowledge.
I click. Next thing I know, I'm buying a program called the 67 Steps and Easy Way to the Good Life. And as cheesy as the name is, to this day, I'll say it was the best $67 that I had ever spent. But it did start to give me this sense of confidence that online education was going to be the future. But one problem, I still didn't know how to make money online. So I kept researching, buying one program after another. $200 here, $500 there, $1,000 at times even. Every dollar that I was saving up, I was spending on online education. And after about 3 years, I was down tens of thousands of dollars and I had nothing to show for it. I'd failed with social media marketing, failed with funnels, failed with dropshipping and e-commerce, failed with crypto, stock trading, and even solar sales. And it was at this time that I was on the verge of giving up. I was beginning to think that the online money-making industry was a scam, but I decided to give it one last go and go all in. Fast forward 3 years, and I had made my first million online without ever selling a single course or a piece of education. In fact, I've been giving away education for free since 2020. And so, what happened? And as someone who's seen it all, first, I want to break down why so much money is flowing into online education. Because the truth is, it is becoming more and more popular these days. There's so much money to be made with it. And naturally, wherever money flows, grifters are going to be there. The reason why online education is becoming so popular these days is because of a mix of things. First, 9-to-5s and traditional jobs are just not keeping up with life. They're not keeping up with inflation. Jobs are becoming less secure, where you're one AI software update away from being replaced. Taxes are going up, inflation is going up, and salaries are just not keeping up with things. To put it into perspective, 30 years ago, you needed 3 times your annual salary to buy a house. These days, it's about 8 times, where if you're making $100,000 a year, congratulations, you are now part of the lower middle class. And it's gotten so bad that about 30% of people making over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. And then on top of that, the traditional ways of increasing your money-making potential, getting education, so going to college, it's becoming worth less and less, where colleges are training people for jobs that aren't going to exist by the time they graduate. Now, because everyone has a college degree, it's become worthless. And on top of that, 4 out of 5 people that get a college degree don't ever actually end up using their college degree. And so you end up with a metric boatload of debt that you can't even discharge with bankruptcy. So point being is that the traditional paths that led to success just are not working anymore. Jobs aren't really working, and college as a way to increase income isn't really working. And then when you start comparing that to online education, you can kind of start to see why the money is starting to flow there. Because when you're going to college, you're signing up for 6 figures of debt instead of when you're buying an online program, which is typically a 4 to 5 figure investment. If you want to go to school and pick up a new skill, it's going to take you 4 to 6 years. Whereas if you go through online education, you can just learn what you need to learn in a couple of months without taking any useless electives. I remember for me, one of the reasons I dropped out of college was I was double majoring in chemistry and mathematics, and I was forced to take an acting class because I needed electives. And it just didn't make sense to me. Like, why the hell do I have to take that extra class? I want to become a doctor or a chemist. Why do I have to take an acting class? To me, that was the wake-up call that college was going down the scam road. But no matter how you cut it, the old ways are burning down and new paths are being introduced. And wherever you have money flowing into, of course, there are going to be grifters. Now, the thing about the online education industry is that there are both good and bad people. It is like every industry. There's both good and bad colleges. There's both good and bad degrees. There's both good and bad employers. There's scammers, but there are also good people. And there are also good and bad niches. Typically speaking, when it comes to making money online, niches where you're not in control are going to be a little bit tougher.
So for example, if you're trying to get into AI content creation, which is popular these days, there's so many courses out there promoting like AI Instagram theme pages or AI YouTube channels. You are at the mercy of those algorithms.
So you're not really in control. If you're doing stock trading or crypto, you are at the mercy of the market. you have some control, but you are not in control. If you are trying to get into Amazon, you have some control over what products you're selecting, over what kind of store you're building. But ultimately, at any point, number one, change their ranking algorithm, or number two, do what they've done to hundreds of people that I know personally and shut down their Amazon stores. If you're wholesaling, you're at the mercy of whatever's on the market. If you're doing Airbnb, you're at the mercy of can you get Airbnb bookings or not. And I'm not saying you can't make money with these niches. You absolutely can, because there are success stories with every single one of them. I know people personally that have had success with every single one of these. But typically speaking, when it comes to making money online, the niches where you're not in control, they're going to be tougher. And then there are also niches that I would say are good. And typically, they are all going to fall under the category of digital marketing. And whether you're learning Facebook ads or YouTube ads or PPC and LSAs, which are all Google forms of paid advertisement, that's something where you're in control, where you are learning how to spend money to make money for other people. Or what I'm personally doing, which is AI SaaS. In other words, using AI to help local businesses save time and make more money. Those are things where you're really in control. And then the other distinction between good versus bad niches is whether you're building a real business or a shtick.
Sticks and stones?
In a nutshell, comparing the price between items on like Amazon, Walmart, and Target. And if you can find something cheaper on Walmart, you would go and automatically sell it on Target's website. Or you find something cheaper on Amazon, you automatically go and sell it on the other two. That was a shtick, because of course that's not going to last long. A bunch of people are going to get in the space, it's going to saturate, and then once Target, Walmart, Amazon, etc., they all catch on to what's happening, they're going to ban that kind of stuff. Another example of a shtick is going to be AI content, because if we have a million people just flooding YouTube, flooding Instagram with AI generated content, the ban hammer is going to come. And in fact, we saw the ban hammer in 2025, where YouTube started demonetizing channels that were using AI voice. And so the first part of a shtick is that it just like doesn't make sense as a business, like there's no longevity in it. But then the second part is that it's not something that you can build, automate, and then sell. Where, for example, if you're trading stocks or you're trading crypto, first off, if you want to lose all your money, by all means, go be the person that buys the crypto trading bot. And if you're going to go do that, make sure you ask your wife's boyfriend for permission first. But if you don't like getting scammed, the reason that I consider that a shtick is because you can't go sell a stock trading business because you're still trading time for money. The second that you stop analyzing markets and you stop doing the work, the money stops flowing. And let me tell you, I know guys that have made a ton of money with trading, but they work 18-hour days and they are the hardest working people that I know. And that's why they're so successful. Now, if that's what you want to do, then go ahead and do it. You're going to have success with it, hopefully. But the reason that 99.99%, and that is a real statistic, end up negative after about 12 months is because it's not a real business where someone's in control, no matter what the 20-year-old stock trading guru tries to tell you. Now, real estate, it is a bit less of a shtick because you can go and sell your properties and you can build a portfolio around it. That is a more legitimate thing. But the whole idea of like wholesaling contracts, that isn't a real business because you're not really developing any assets. And that's what separates a real business from the shticks. It's at the end of a year or 5 years, have you built up an asset that can be sold, or have you just been self-employed and trading time for money for a couple of years? So for example, if you build a marketing agency, you can sell that. If you build a software, you can sell that. In fact, some of the biggest gurus and influencers in the space, that's how they've had their lucky exits, where, for example, Alex Hormozi, he built a SaaS called Gym Launch, sold it for, I believe it was, I'm paraphrasing here, but I believe it was for 43 million. And then Alex Becker built Hyros, another SaaS, and sold that for 100 million and change. But you were never going to find a single person that had that big of an exit through some of these other programs, because those other programs are really just about side hustles instead of building businesses. And then lastly, there's both good and bad programs in the online education industry. And this is the part that people aren't going to like to hear. But like, once again, I'm pulling back the veil here and I'm getting real with you. I want you to really think about this. If someone is going to truly share a multi-million-dollar blueprint for building a business, share all of their secrets, and teach it to you and guide you, are they going to do it for $200? No. Are they going to do it for $500? No, because there's not enough of a financial incentive for them to do that. And this is a weird thing to think about, but I think a lot of people that I talk to, they live and exist in this mindset and perspective where they're just thinking about, how can I take from the world? What can I get? What can I get? What can I get? And they're kind of like these energy sucking vampires. Hunters. And that's why they never end up making good deals, or why they don't have good partnerships, or why they don't have a lot of success. Because if you want to find a good mentor or a good teacher or a genuine program that is going to give you the secrets, then you need to be asking yourself, like, how can I make it in that mentor's interest to want to give me these things? Because the truth is, it's probably going to cost several thousands of dollars at least. Now, just so we don't go into logical fallacy territory, this does not mean that just because a program is expensive, then by default, it means it's going to be good. But it probably does mean that you are not going to change your financial life by buying some random TikToker's $300 course. And so if you are thinking about investing into your education, you have to find a program or a mentor, or at least the financials check out, and you are creating a win-win situation where there is something for the mentor to gain by teaching you, and there is something for you to gain by learning from them. Now, the number one cause of failures that I've seen is that beginners do not need courses, they need mentors. And the difference is that a course is just a set of videos. But for example, if I were to give you a whole bunch of videos on how to sail a boat, and then you were to attempt to sail a boat, there is a 100% chance that you are going to crash the damn boat. Instead, what you need is the videos, but then you also need guidance where you have somebody on that boat with you. They're in the passenger seat. They're helping you as you go. And this is also the other kind of like red flag to look for is when you're joining a program, like, are you going to actually get to work with that mentor, or are you just going to be pawned off to some like junior coach? Because a lot of the guys that want to make a ton of money in the space, how are they doing it? They're doing it through volume. They have 10,000 people joining their program or whatnot, but clearly they do not have the bandwidth to service 10,000 people themselves. So they have to bring on all the support. And don't get me wrong, sometimes that support is valuable, because I know so many people that they join a community, they have a ton of success, and then they help out that community. That does exist. But typically speaking, the reason why there's going to be a much higher price tag on a legitimate program is because they need to do less volume but still make enough money that the whole thing makes sense. So they charge higher prices. Now, the reason that I'm making this video for you is because there's a lot of hate when it comes to online businesses. Like, hell, I even started to fall for that hate. I specifically remember like watching CoffeeZilla back in 2020 when he was making this video debating / exposing Billie Jean. And for like a brief moment, I was like, yeah, screw Billie Jean. But then I really quickly remembered that it was literally thanks to people like Ty Lopez, Billie Jean, Rob Bailey, Alex Becker, Alex Hormozy, and so many more that I got to where I am today. Every single one of those gurus and whatever programs I signed up for, they all got me one step closer to that 7-figure dream. And not just me and not just those gurus, but many, many of my friends that are all 7-figure business owners in their 20s and 30s did so because of online mentorships and online education. If at any point along the way, I let myself get so jaded and bitter that I thought everything was a scam, then neither myself or my friends, we probably wouldn't be where we are today. That is to say, yes, the online education industry, it is filled with grifters, but it is also filled with people that will show you a path to a better future, especially now that all the traditional ways have broken down. And it is much better for you to go forward and take some calculated risks and build a better future for yourself than for you to stay stuck in the old ways. Because with all the data that we're seeing, if you're a 9-to-5er right now, it is only going to get worse and worse.